right. Okay, class, settle down. Jamada, get your feet off the desk, please. And GB, thank you so much for bringing me an apple. And Odo, thanks for joining us this morning, I guess. Okay, everyone, open your books and we'll get started with today's lesson. As today, we are going to be talking about how teams can qualify to season finals. And remember, there are only 6 spots. And yes, GB.
Can I say how we decide them?
Yeah, sure. All right.
Okay. So one team is already qualified because they won a split, and that's G2. And then the next is top 3, and then the rest of them is championship points.
Dude, you're such a teacher's pet.
Yeah, and you're such a Vitality fan.
Guys, do we know how FLICKR makes it?
Okay, calm down, all of you. We'll talk about this in a second. So from the points we know, we can start to see who is likely to get qualified and who is likely to get eliminated. Yeah, so when you look at this, what do you guys think, actually? Like, who do you think is likely to make it?
I don't think KC are making it. I can tell you that for free.
We'll talk about this later. All right, so for first, what we see is that G2 are already qualified because they won 2 splits, and no matter what, they will get a spot in season finals.
But what about BDS and Fnatic and MDK? It looks like they have enough points. There's no way they make it out. There's no way they don't make it out, right?
Dude, they barely made it in. I mean, are they even going to make it?
Okay, so Matt got a lot of points in winter, and while it's still likely that MDK, Fnatic, and BDS will lock, it is not 100% confirmed. We're gonna take a look at this scenario, for instance, in which if SK, GX, and KC are qualified, G2 is already qualified already, Fnatic and BDS would be here, of course. Mad Lion in their 8th position would not make it out.
Teacher,
yeah?
How does FLICKR make it?
As I said, they need to make top 3. And that's all we know for now.
Then what about SK, right? They got in 1st place, right? Like, they should basically be in season finals, right?
And that's a very good remark, Jamada. Thank you so much. But SK don't have as many points, and they need to do much better. Here's an example on how they failed to make it. When you look here, because they didn't get as many points in the first portion of the year, if these 2-3 teams make it and these 3 teams make it as well, that's a situation in which, with SK Gaming in the 6th position behind Giant X, they will not make it. So they really need to work hard here. Is that clear for you guys?
Yeah, that's so cool.
Okay.
That's cool. You're a great teacher, Los. How do GX make it from here?
No, dude, screw GX. Let's do Vitality instead.
Bro,
a much better team.
Vitality aren't even in. Why you do Vitality? Do Team Heretics instead.
I don't care, dude. GX are just worse.
Okay,
bro,
guys,
you play Alawi. Shut up.
Kids, please calm down. I know it is very complicated, but please just remember, G2 is already qualified, and a lot of other teams seem to be sure, but nothing is guaranteed yet. As long as you stay in the playoff, you have a chance to make season finals. So as long as your favorite team is still in, you have a shot. Is that clear? Is that clear for the whole class? Yes. Yes, Odo.
How does FLICKR make it again?
They
make top 3!
KC need to make top 3. KC need to make... Oh, KC need to make top 3. Oh.
And welcome back to this side of the studio for the beginning of these summer playoffs. I see that you kept the hat for a reason.
I love it. I love the hat.
It looks funny. I'm gonna keep the hat as well. Jamada, thank you so much for joining us again here. Let's recap a bit what happened before we move on to the rest of the playoffs. That's actually a really funny hand here. So, Rogue and Vitality are out. As we said, if you're not in playoffs, you can't make it to season finals. And their year is over here. Sadly, we're gonna see them in 2025.
I guess I can't ask how they make a season finals in this one.
You're just gonna keep this one, yeah.
It's really sad because, especially with Vitality, they look like a contender coming to the split, and right now, seeing them all the way next year, it's a bummer.
Yeah.
Creation of their own destruction, right? Or creators of their own destruction, right? They threw a lot of their games. We could see the promise, but at the end of the day, it's results that make up the story.
And we got 8 teams remaining here in the summer playoffs. So let's take a look at how the bracket looks for now, because we're gonna have a rematch. Fnatic versus GX again are gonna face in the first round. Odo.
This time we're gonna get the win because Fnatic came all the way from EWC, kept the lose streak going. Right now they're at 5 in a row, sadly. So my boys in GX are looking quite strong here.
Yeah, I can get down with it. Maybe a 2-1 angle, right? I think for me as well, G2 G2 also coming from EWC, a little bit more successful, shall we say, than Fnatic.
One win more, I guess.
Yeah.
It's good.
I guess it depends on how KC come in, but realistically, I think a lot of us do feel like the top 4 teams are probably going to beat the the bottom 4 teams here in this opening round of playoffs.
On the other side, we have G2 opening with KC. KC's first playoffs in the history of the organization in the LEC. But before we get to this, we also have a new patch, gentlemen. Any specificities about this one? I don't feel like it's going to change that much.
I don't really think it's going to change a lot because there's been some jungle changes, a little bit shift in priority. Maybe Scanner is the biggest victim of the patch because right now he was a little bit of a terror in the top lane, and I don't think it's still going to change much. It's just going to be a little bit on teams to see how they innovate now with one less solid blind pick on the top lane being an option.
Maybe on the other side of the map, a few changes. We're going to talk about them later. But for now, the first game we're going to have is SK versus Team Heretics. And we have GB standing by to talk to us about Irrelevant.
Thank you very much, Law. Yes, hello, I am GB, and I'm here to tell you that SK isn't actually that good of a team. Now let me elaborate, okay? Because SK is filled with great individual players. So good that even when they've made mistakes, their mechanics can carry them through it. And I've brought an example to try and break down a bit. So let's go right into it. In the example that I've brought against KC, they're very late to the Dragon. You can currently see there's 45 seconds for the Dragon to start. And they've overstayed their welcome a bit, trying to take it to a 2 mid, where the resets are late. So as we roll out the clip, you're going to see that they're going to be late for the mid control. KC is already here, so despite having a lead in this game, they are only going even against a team where they should have a tempo advantage. Not only that, Irrelevant right now is taking red buff, which is making him come into a mega now already before the play has started. So right now, they're not even set up for success. And there's so much more you could do here. They're A-ramming on mid right now, where essentially instead, you could just try and take bush control with Maokai saplings, with the Talia, try and make the CC stick while they're still split up on the side of KC. But they're not. So they're late to the play, they're late to the contest, and they're late to the river play because once they are in river, the Dragon has already been started. And that makes it very difficult because that allows KC to come into a position where they can make the play and where SK is going to have to respond in a different manner than had they just been making a trap in a bush. So once all the CC comes through, you can see it gets blocked out by Sinsao, it gets blocked out by Cassante as well. And Vladdy is actually the one who makes a mega play on this Seer to really take over the fight on KC. So in normal terms, this fight should be over. But this is where the individual star power comes through from SK. They're over-aggressing on the side of a Maokai right here, and instead it's Irrelevant on the Na who gets to clean up the fight. It's been a long time since I've seen a top lane 1v9 performance like this one. The fact that he sniped up Upset with the boulder, the fact that he gets the jungle afterwards, and the fact he's ready to clean up with a triple kill, even though half of his team has already been wiped out, just goes to show how much star player value really has on a team like SK. And you can see it here on Irrelevant stats. This is usually not what they go for. Usually he's been a bit more of a weak sider, and it's Rahel and Luon that kind of shows up. But that's the strength right now in SK. They have star players. They can rely on top side. And if they're not relying on top side, they can rely on the bot side. So I did lie a bit when I said that SK isn't a good team, because they really are. But if they get more macro aspects down for this team, and they have the star players combined with it, they'll be so much better. Now, Trouble is standing by with the Irrelevance coach Swiffer and the Marriott Bonvoy pre-game lobby, so hopefully we get some more insight from the coach.
Thank you so much, Goldborg and Swiffer. Thank you for joining me ahead of the best of versus Team Heretics. I'm going to take it straight from what Goldborg said, because he praised the Irrelevant a lot. Yeah. He has been the player that you guys built the entire roster around. When you remade the whole team back last year, why has that been the case, and how has his development come around? I
feel I remember correctly going into that off-season. There were a lot of moving pieces. I think we were doing a full rebuild. And I remembered at the time that playing against Misfits at the time was incredibly challenging, I remember, because our top laner was always slightly concerned about blind picking into him, and, you know, he always put up really, really good performances. And we felt like if we could just kind of try and nudge him a little bit more in the direction of like actually embracing that carry potential, then he would be an insane player. And I think it had more to do with like him realizing it than us pushing him in that direction. And so now, yeah, he's phenomenal, and he continues to develop, and his ability to retroactively like reflect on the game and everything and point out his own mistakes has improved markedly. So he's never satisfied with like, well, I mean, like he's sometimes satisfied with his performance, but usually it's not for too long, and he's always pushing himself like to do better. So yeah.
Very well-deserved praise on the Rift as well. Swiffer, I want to take you a little bit back to all those seasons that SK had a pretty phenomenal start of the split. But this time around, you guys had a fantastic end of the split. However, before you give me your answer, however, please persuade us and the fans that watch you that this time around, it will translate into playoffs.
Yeah. I think coming into this playoffs, everyone feels really, really confident about the direction that we're going. Everyone has such a respect and trust in one another that I felt like was missing from maybe the previous iterations of the team. And the goal and where we want to go, we're all aligned on how we want to do it and how we want to get there. So, you know, a little bit of scuffling, you know, sometimes, but in the end, like everyone just wants to win. And I think when we realize that, then everything is very, very smooth sailing. So hopefully it translates this time, right? And everyone's quietly confident coming into these playoffs. That's all right.
Thank you for this interview. Good luck versus Team Heretics. And guys, over to you.
Thank you so much, Trouble. Amazing to hear from Swiffer, Jamada, especially given the fact that you look at the coach and he's like, let's take it game per game. Let's not jinx it. Like even he feels like it's gonna collapse at any point. What had made SK better?
I mean, for me, SK are the team that Rogue really thought they were. Right? They play a very meticulous game, but they pull the trigger on good timings. Right? It doesn't feel like they just wait for that absolute perfect opportunity. And I feel like that's more or less been their strength throughout a lot of this split. They can rely on the individual prowess of these players in these kind of positions. I do feel like if their game kind of goes awry from their plan and games get a bit chaotic and get a bit messy, it feels like they lose sight of what their win conditions are, and I think that's something they've got to look out for. But generally, yeah, I feel like Swiffer has given us a pretty good insight here. They are very confident, and that's a pretty good example of why.
Yeah, and especially when you look at their first opposition here in playoffs. So I remember that in spring, it was actually the opposite. Heretics won this, but I feel like SK has the upper hand. But we saw signs of life on the side of Heretics in the last week, I feel.
We definitely did, because coming into the week, we had huge expectations from them to revamp a little bit with the jungle priority, especially because when you think of Jankos and why they were really, really good in spring was off of his back, you know, facilitating, providing good setups and ganks for everyone. And he went away from that. But now into the last week, he went a little bit back on the Sejuani duty. You know, everyone loves to see it. And we saw signs of life, because all of a sudden they're a lot more decisive in the early game. We saw Jankos invade a lot, set up mid lane for success, because Zwairu has been the player that is has been struggling a little bit in the split, and right now we see it. You know, Human ETP is back already, gets good lane state, and right now this is the gank that sets Zwairu up for success. Well, now we're going into a different game, but we see what we want to see from Jankos. Jankos is just invading, being behind, and he's just setting up complete psychopath performance, but he's setting up and doing everything that Heretics needs them to do.
Yeah, and I feel like also just as a blueprint for competitive teams, it's just a lot easier to play off of, you know, enabling junglers, right? A lot of laners are a lot more confident with it, and you're seeing it, you know, even if it's not necessarily always culminating in wins for Team Heretics, they just look better when you've got Jankos actually actively backing up the lanes, as opposed to the lanes needing to back Jankos up, because that's kind of the two styles that we're seeing here in the LEC. It's Sejuani, Maokai, Vi, or, you know, obviously the AP carry junglers. Heretics just look a lot better when Jankos is on those Sejuanis or the Maokais.
And they made this happen in the last week of regular season against Fnatic and G2, some of the best two teams we have in the league right now. SK being the first team in the regular season, what are the chances of Heretics against an overperforming SK right now, would we say?
I'm quite confident. I think they can do well. I still want them to level up a little bit more, but what they showed in the last week of regular season was signs of life again, because it was one of the best. At that time, Fnatic and G2 were the two best teams coming into that week, and they played pretty well against them.
Yeah, SK, we'll see if they can keep. They can keep on doing what they've been doing in the regular season, or if Heretics will have the strength to actually take them down in the first round of playoffs. Casters, take it away.
For the fourth time in the organization's history, they're going to get 4 titles back to back to back to back. The engage going down as Rahel's locked up with the depth charge, and this might be a great fight for Heretics. But Niski finds them all!
Everyone underestimates us, and they think we're bad. They think we will not end top 3. I hope to make SK one of the top 3 teams in EU.
SK the best team in the LEC regular season.
You should be a fan of Heretics, not only because we play with Grandpa in the jungle, right? But we're showing these last days that we're actually starting to be a really good team, and we really want to make it to Worlds.
Oh, that was a great buster shot. Nuke steps back into the stun, but the stopwatch from Broken Blade will only buy him a second.
We are actually the one challenging G2 and Fnatic domination since the last 6 years.
So you should be a Malians fan, because of course, I'm here. I'm the one playing weird shit. Even though I'm playing tags now, just wait for playoffs.
Elioya spotted, but hit 6 off the wave though, has that cease and desist. Immediately jumps onto Wonder, who can't get the equalizer down in time. And he came like 2 in the top side.
When we play our game, we are the best.
I think with the change, we are a really strong team. They thought I was really bad, and I'm here to prove everyone that they're wrong.
A Broken Blade will flash away, and the equalizer binds him though as the Antonio's on a killing spree.
Last time it was very close.
Yike getting a decent amount of damage down, and an excellent hostile takeover to kick things off. Noah going berserk, and now he's just trying to solo Broken Blade, but Broken Blade already taking down one, could just look for a few more. G2, so just slaughtering Fnatic. Broken Blade single-handedly takes on both carries.
This is gonna be the split that we are gonna take down G2 and bring the trophy home.
Great Bradley made the miracle when it comes flooding, he gets back! The jungle king of the LEC still got it!
They're playing against the best fighter in the world.
We had 2 really difficult splits, and it hasn't stopped us from trying our best and really trying to improve.
Q's over the wall, falls to Batorgamus! Excellent execution for KC! Finally, all of the pieces come together with a quadra kill for upset!
So hopefully we can fulfill our run and make you guys proud.
We are the best in the West, the best team in Europe as long as anyone can even remember. We have the most creative picks, drafts. We challenge the international tournaments.
We are definitely not going to slow down now.
We can win this summer for sure.
Nobody takes a title from G2.
We won winter, we won spring, and we're going to win summer.